Procrastination is one of the biggest productivity killers. We all experience it, and you are not alone. But it's a terrible feeling to have. When you are procrastinating, you might be sitting on your couch in a relaxed state, you might be scrolling through social media feed, you might just be watching TV or playing your favorite sport. But you have this constant stress building up as the time is passing by because you are delaying a task. And therefore, procrastination doesn't just kill your productivity, but it also adds more stress or anxiety in your life, which you definitely want to avoid. But most people, they further aggravate this feeling by thinking that they are being lazy. Being lazy is different from procrastinating. When you're lazy, you don't want to or you don't even care to do a task. Even if there's nothing stopping you, there's no barrier as such. But when you are procrastinating, you want to or need to do a task, but you are just delaying it because you feel some barriers, you feel something is stopping you. But these barriers are essentially mental barriers and therefore are not for real. Which is a good news, because if these are not real barriers, just a shift in your mindset could actually help you overcome procrastination. So in this video, I'm going to break down those barriers to help you understand the real reasons behind your procrastination, and understanding the root cause is the first step towards overcoming procrastination. So let's get started. Now this barrier is quite common. It's called perfection. That's when you set extremely high standards for yourself, that you feel anything less than perfect is a failure. It might be, let's say, your presentation that you want to share. You really want it to be so perfect. And in this case, you want to avoid making any single mistake, and you feel such a great responsibility as a result of that, which turns into fear that if you start, you might mess it up, and therefore you just don't want to start at all. So you delay it, and because you want it to be so perfect, you also get stuck in the cycle of overthinking and overanalyzing. So you avoid making mistakes. It could be over researching on that topic, whatever you are doing basically. Like you are making a presentation, so you are watching so many different videos on how to deliver a perfect presentation. To some extent it's good, but if you are overdoing it or if you're overthinking it, you are delaying that action more and more. And you still have that stress mounting because you know that you have just not made any progress. Or you could just be waiting for the perfect time. It happens to us a lot. Like, maybe now is not the best time. I'll do it tomorrow morning when I've taken some rest overnight, and all that stuff. So this is what traps you, and it keeps you from making any progress. And therefore it's also called perfection paralysis. It's basically freezing your action because you are just afraid of messing up everything. Now there are different ways you can overcome perfection paralysis. Number one is you remind yourself every time that making progress is better than not starting at all, because when you are making progress, you are getting in that momentum and you will start with something and you can then revise it to make it better and better. But you are getting closer and closer to the finishing line, so reminding yourself helps to quickly start working on it. And then you have to also kind of set the standard of good enough, because when you are going for a good enough work, there may be some mistakes, but you can definitely eliminate them with more and more revisions. So if you are doing that presentation, maybe at least start with some slides and keep typing there. Then you can come back later and do some refinements there. You can add the styles, formatting, or just improve the wordings, whatever. You can keep on doing that later, but it will always keep you moving more and more closer towards the finishing line. And the third way is to actually set some timeline. If you don't have any timeline set, you will keep on working on that thing, and therefore you will not make much progress. But when you give yourself time of, let's say, 30 minutes or 1 hour, you're very much motivated to complete it in that duration, and that's why it becomes very effective. And the fourth way is to start messy. You're gonna say to yourself, the first draft is gonna be a rough draft of that, so you're just gonna start it no matter what, and then later on making refinements to make it more and more better. The next common barrier is overwhelm. This happens when the task that you have is feeling too complicated or too big, and you don't even know where to start. So when it feels so big, you feel like, okay, it's going to be so much tiring, so much mentally exhausting, so much time consuming, so you don't even want to start it altogether. That's why you procrastinate. But one of the best ways to tackle it is actually to break it down into smaller steps. So Instead of, let's say you want to write a book, instead of going like, okay, I'll start writing the book from today, keep some small tasks like, okay, today I'm just going to do a brain dump exercise. I'm going to write what I want to cover in this book, simply. And I'm only going to spend, let's say, 10 minutes, because when you start spending 10 minutes, it's very likely that it keeps you going once you have started. It builds momentum. The next step could then be, okay, now I'll start planning the different chapters that are going to be there. And then next step, I'm going to think about what's going to be inside the first chapter and then the next chapter. So when you break down into smaller tasks and then you set some time duration again for each one of them, you start finding that task to be easier and easier and easier, and that's when you are more motivated to start making some progress. Another common barrier is lack of motivation. This is when you don't see any reason why you want to do it, or you rather find it too boring. So in this scenario, you need to remember or remind yourself why you want to do it. You think about the different benefits of doing it, or ask yourself question, what will I get if I do this? What is the benefit? Or what happens if I don't do it? Like if there's a task like studying for the exam, you're like, okay, if I do it, I'll score very well in the exam, so I'll get a good college placement. Or if it is going to gym, you remind yourself that if I do this, then I'll get healthier, I'll build more muscles, I'll look better, I'll feel more confident. Whatever could be the strong reason why you want to do it, or the strong benefit of it that could really motivate you, or even the strong loss or disadvantage if you don't do it. Let's say if you don't study for exam, you won't get a good placement. If you don't go to gym, you will have so many different health issues. When you remind yourself of the reason why, you start to get more motivated and you'll feel like doing that task, even if it is not fun. Now, if it is not feeling fun, you can actually look for ways to make it more fun. And one of the ways is to actually make it more rewarding as well. So either you make it more fun, like when you study for the exams, maybe you listen to some good exam music, or you just study with your friend. And likewise, when you go to gym, you can include a friend, or you can give yourself some nice pair of shoes, nice gym clothes, or maybe give yourself good headphones so you listen to really nice music while you're doing the gym. When you do all of that, you actually make it more fun. Or with the rewards, like when you go and you study for the exam for, let's say, next 4 hours, you will treat yourself with this nice chocolate cake. Or if you go to gym for next 7 days, you'll have one cheat day where you can have whatever you feel like having. So all these things really work towards motivating you more, and that's when you will be able to overcome procrastination when lack of motivation is one of the reasons. Now, another barrier is the fear of failure. In this case, you feel that you're not just good enough for this. You maybe have this imposter syndrome, or you have this fear of judgment from other people. And in many cases, you may want to do it, but this fear of failure is bigger than your desire to start. And this is when you procrastinate and keep delaying it. And you have these constant questions like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I mess it up? And what you apply for perfectionism could also work here. You need to shift your mindset here that you are good enough. You can do it. If you take action, if you make progress, you will get better. Mistakes are part of learning. Failure is part of success. And everyone fails at one point or another. When you remind yourself of all those things, you will slowly have your own confidence, your own self-belief in starting something. And when you start, you will definitely learn, you will definitely improve, you will definitely do very well at it. So all you need is just a shift in your mindset, and then you're good to go. The next common barrier, which I believe is the most common barrier nowadays, is distractions. And we have so many instruments of distraction in today's time. It could be coming from the phone, which is the most common reason as well. You have those notifications, those chats, you have those reels, those social media platforms, various different accounts, which are loaded with so much content. You just keep scrolling all your time. And then it could just be your environment, you are so busy. But whatever be the case, distractions, one of the reasons why we get so much attracted to them is they provide instant gratification. They provide instant dopamine hit. and they feel much more interesting than any other thing that we need to do, like for example studying for the exam or working on a project. These things, because they provide instant dopamine hit, which we would otherwise get when we achieve something, when we finish a task. So we are more inclined to get distracted than to start working on those tasks. So cutting off distractions is the first step towards overcoming procrastination that's stemming from distractions. Like, you can basically keep your phone away if you're working on some project or whatever task you want to work on. Just keep your phones away. Make it harder for yourself to get distracted. Or you might just be working in an environment that is less distracted. Maybe, like for example, when you are at work, you could actually be in your office where everyone around you is working. So the environment itself is very stimulating towards working. Or if you have other distractions like TV or something, you can block yourself. And another way is to actually set some deep work hours. I've talked about it in my productivity video. It is basically the time you set for yourself. It could be 2 hours or just 3 hours. And during this time, you make a policy of no distraction or no interruptions. You keep your phones away, you silence the notifications, you tell your friends or your family if you're working from home that you're going to be busy. If you are in your office, maybe you just go to a meeting room. Just try to isolate yourself from the distractions. You make it harder for yourself to get distracted, and you will see your focus to be so much on that. You will actually be more quicker, and it's much more productive. So deep work is really very helpful in overcoming procrastination. The next common barrier, it also happens quite a lot, especially if we are at home, basically, is the fear of losing comfort. When you are doing something or you have to do something like going to gym, which involves getting out of your comfort zone, you might be sitting on your couch and you just are very much relaxed there, and you just don't want to get up because you then fear that you might put yourself in a state of immense discomfort. And just thinking about all of that, it keeps playing in your mind, so it feels so fearful that you just don't want to get up, and you are just in your bed or on the couch and you're just constantly delaying that action. But during that time, all you need to do is just get up, maybe do something very interesting for the first 5 minutes, like maybe you do some jumping jacks, maybe you just dance a little bit, move your body basically, just so that you have that blood flowing. And when you have got up for whatever reason that motivates you and you are now feeling a little more active, you will very much likely leave your comfort behind and get on with the task that you need to do. So when you are too much in your comfort, you just need to get out of there, and you just need to get a little bit uncomfortable, and then you will be able to get on with the task that you need to do. So that's another good way to overcome procrastination, when the comfort is the reason. Now, the final common barrier I want to talk about is lack of urgency. This is when you basically have no deadlines, or you don't see any immediate consequence of putting things off. This usually happens with mostly your personal projects or something that you want to do, but you just keep delaying it because you are like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it one day. But we know that tomorrow or that one day never comes, but you still want to do it. So it keeps hanging this task like a sword that, yeah, you have to do this task. And somewhere it's giving you stress because you have this feeling that there are some things you want to do, you are not doing. So again, in this case, setting deadlines or setting some timelines will make you more accountable and will help you get it done. Daily planner or to-do list are really very helpful, because when you have it in your not to forget list of sort, then you just remember, and you will just constantly be reminded when you regularly look at your not to forget list. So you will be prompted to take action on it. And when you set deadlines, you exactly know when you can start working on it. So procrastination at the end of the day isn't just about being lazy. It could be various different reasons. And when you know them, like I personally, when I started realizing the different reasons behind procrastination, I wasn't really feeling guilty because I wasn't really lazy. There were other reasons behind that. So that realization helped me look for different ways, which I shared with you. And that's what has helped me overcome procrastination. And I'm able to beat it today whenever I feel like procrastinating. And I hope this video helps you as well beat procrastination, because these steps really work and they are tried and tested. And I'll be sharing more videos about self-growth and procrastination, habits, and various other areas of life just to make the life better. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, please like and share with other people.